All right, the Raiders have made a couple of subtle moves over the last couple days that I really like. Things that the national media, I mean, they're never going to pick up on, they're never going to cover. And that's kind of why you should follow this channel. We cover the Raiders because they don't get the love nationally like they should. I'm actually a Detroit Lion fan, but the Raiders are my second favorite team. I'm always kind of watching them from afar. So on this channel, you're going to get an unbiased look at the Raiders. So make sure you subscribe. Now, these moves are something that I just think is really important as they continue to move into the future. Not only close out this year strong, but move into the future. So the first one I absolutely love. This is they go out and sign Marquand McCall. Now, if you've seen this, he's a defensive tackle. He's only 24 years old. He hasn't played yet this season, but in last year, he played in 16 games for the Carolina Panthers. Now, why this is interesting is because, yes, the Carolina Panthers stink this year, but last year, they were a good team. I know this because the Detroit Lions went down to Carolina and get absolutely smashed late in the season. Couldn't run the ball against them. McCall, one of the reasons why. He's a good player, almost 400 pounds. And this is nice because the Raiders are giving up 125 yards on the ground. That's 23rd in the NFL. What I love about football is as the game evolves, it still remains the same, that you got to be able to stop the run. You have to be able to run the ball and stop the run. Like, those are just two things you have to be able to do. Otherwise, it's just hard. It's just hard to win. Things get a little clunky. So it's like, hey, anytime you can find a 400-pound defensive tackle, I think you grab him if you can. So yes, he hasn't played this year. There's obviously some developmental things that the Raiders will have to work with him on, but perfect little move right there. Yes, maybe it's not for this year, but as you go into next year, compile as many guys as you can. You can always cut them, but there's just not 400-pound defensive tackles sitting around out there too often. So when you get the opportunity to grab one, grab him, work on his development, work on the things you need to. But again, the Raiders defense has been much improved this season, but the run defense hasn't been great. So we're looking for Tyree Wilson to improve. Max Crosby continued to be the man. Shore up the defensive tackle side of things, and the Raiders could really be good to finish out this year and look into next year, where you're not using resources on big time areas of concern like defensive tackle. If you can grab a couple guys here and there, you never know. The next little move that's been really interesting, and one that we got to keep our eyes on, especially as the Raiders go against the Chiefs and finish out this season, is Tyree Wilson's move inside. Now, why this is significant is because it shows me that the coaching staff is willing to adapt. You draft Tyree, 7th pick overall. It's like he's a defensive end. Got to make it happen. That drives me nuts. If it's not working, what can we do? So they move him inside. Now, he's struggled mightily all season at defensive end. While the Raiders still play him on the outside, they've been moving him inside more just to see what we got. So that's what it's all about. What do you got for these last 3 games? And we'll get more into Tyree here in just a second, and then one other thing on Max Crosby as well. But what do you have? This last 3 weeks are huge because it's still fighting for their playoff lives. But B, these 3 weeks, what do we have? Is this player going to be here next year? Is this player a guy we're going to re-sign? Is this a guy we're going to give a new contract to? Are we going to trade? Are we going to, do we need to draft at that position? A lot of this is already known, but there's 3 weeks left in the season where you can continue to find out even more. So as you look at it here, defensive coordinator Patrick Graham spoke about the change. He said, I would say Tyree, anytime you can be flexible in the front, that's a positive. They can't get a beat on where you're going to be lining up and studying you in terms of where you're going to be. And I think the thing for Tyree is because of his skill set, he's physical, his length, strong, good leverage, it allows us to move him around. So now, as you go into this matchup against the Chiefs, that's one of the top that's one of the top matchups. Tyree Wilson versus the Chiefs interior line. Obviously, when you play Patrick Mahomes, you have to get pressure somewhere. You have to throw him off the spot. You have to do something. You can't just let him sit back there and get comfortable. Duh, right? We all know this, but but then how are you going to do it? So this is what I love here about head coach said, most rookies start to fall off in November, December. However, Wilson's arrow keeps going up. Now, it goes up because he was just not doing much at all. So it was kind of only up from here. But the fact is, it's fine. It takes rookies half the season. On the Detroit Lions, you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know it's different position, but Amon-Ra St. Brown for the first half of his rookie year didn't do anything. Then the dude's just a star immediately, or star all of a sudden, and he's off and running as a star. So it's like that first half of your rookie year, I don't know, right? You just, who knows? But so to see a glimpse of something good happening is really good. Each and every week, each and every day in practice, you see something that say, okay, here we go. This is what we saw on film. I'm I'm just I love these little moves for a couple of reasons because number one, you sign a guy that you can maybe use, maybe get some tape on, get some practice, get him in the building, a massive dude in your defensive tackle. The next thing is as a coaching staff, you want to see coaching staffs that adapt and not just beat your head against the wall and put the same guy in the same position. It's like try something. Like try something, see what we can do, see what we got. Last 3 games of the season, coming off a massive win, like literally and figuratively. Literally, you kill a team. It's massive point wise, but you just like, okay, we can play. We can play with anybody. We can beat anybody. Like if I'm a Las Vegas Raiders fan, I I know it's hard to really see it because maybe you're in it, you want to see the rebuild, but I'm telling you, as a Lions fan that went through the rebuild, a couple rebuilds, but this latest one, it's like, man, if you can finish a season strong, it changes everything into the offseason. So I know these 3 games might seem like, I don't know, long shots getting the playoffs or who knows. There's so many reasons to watch, to pay attention, because if you can win, who knows? You can maybe possibly get into the playoffs, but the main thing is you're winning, you're evaluating players, spirits are up. Antonio Pierce, Raider Nation is just like, let's go. What are we going to do? You can find the spots where you need to draft, find the spots where you can be smart in free agency and find somebody. So again, if you're new to the channel, cover the Raiders because they don't get the love nationally like they should. The Raiders fan base is huge, dying for a winner. I know what that's all about. Coming from the Detroit Lions, or being a Detroit Lions fan, our main channel is Sports Talk Detroit. Check that out if you want. But the main thing is the Raiders might have something here, and I'm absolutely excited to see what that is because these last 3 games, I don't know, they could go 0-3. It's like, all right, or they could go 3-0, maybe make the playoffs. Evaluation of all the players is there. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one, and we'll see all of you on the next one.